In today's video, I'm going to teach you Tracking Time in ClickUp 2026 Guide. If you've ever felt like your day disappears into a blur of meetings, messages, and to-dos, you're not alone. A solid time tracking setup turns that blur into clear, usable data you can learn from and bill with confidence. In this guide, I'll walk you through setting up time tracking in ClickUp using a ready-made template, show you where to find it, and help you make sense of the tools you'll see once everything is in place. We'll go step by step, keeping it practical and easy to follow, so by the end you'll have a simple, reliable way to log time directly in the app. Let's start right at the beginning. Open your ClickUp workspace by logging in. If you use single sign-on, such as continuing with Google, choose that option to get into your account quickly and securely. Take a moment to confirm you're in the correct workspace, especially if you belong to multiple teams or clients. It's a small check that prevents setting things up in the wrong place and saves you time later. Once you're in, you'll land on the home screen or your most recent area. And from there, we're going to move into the part of your workspace where your tasks live. Navigate to your lists, specifically the list where you want to manage time tracking. In ClickUp, a list is a collection of tasks grouped under a space and sometimes a folder. Think of a list like a project or a theme, something like a finance list, a design list, or a client delivery list. The exact naming doesn't matter for what we're doing today. What matters is that you choose the list where you want your time tracking structure to be available. If you keep your financial, operations, or client work tidy in distinct areas, pick the list that best represents where billable or trackable work will happen. If you don't see your lists immediately, hover over your spaces on the left sidebar. Spaces are the highest level sections in your workspace, like departments or pillars of your business. Hovering over them expands the navigation so you can drill down into folders and lists. This helps you reach the exact place where you keep your daily tasks. Take a quick second to orient yourself in the left-hand navigation and open the space that contains the list we'll use for time tracking. Now, enter your task lists. Open the list where you run your day-to-day tasks. You should see tasks in a list or board view, depending on how it's saved. Don't worry if your list looks a little different from mine. ClickUp is flexible, and it's common for each workspace to have unique views, filters, and fields. What's important is that we're inside the list where we want to bring in the time tracking template. Once you're in the list, we're going to open up a template. Templates in ClickUp let you drop in a pre-built structure so you don't have to design everything from scratch. This is particularly handy for time tracking because the right template will give you ready-made views and fields you can use right away. We'll grab one of those now. Let's jump straight in by opening the options menu. You can access more options from the three dots icon. If you're working at the task level, hovering over a task reveals a three dots menu that opens a panel with additional task actions, including time tracking tools. That's useful when you want to start or log time at the task level. For our template setup, keep an eye out for the More Options menu associated with the list itself, because that's where template controls usually appear. Either way, the three dots are your key to finding more tools. Go ahead and click the three dots. A menu will pop open and show you additional options. This is where you'll typically find links to time-related functionality, and, crucially for us today, template controls. Don't worry if you see a lot of items in this menu. ClickUp is packed with features, and we're just going to focus on the path we need. Inside that menu is where you'll find the time tracking tools tied to tasks, and the path to browse templates that set up time tracking frameworks at the list level. Since we're looking to install a pre-built structure, we're going to browse templates from here. Click on Browse Templates as is. This opens the template library so we can search for a setup designed specifically for tracking time. If this is your first time inside the template area, you'll see a range of options for lists, spaces, projects, and more. The good news is we don't have to scroll through everything manually. use the search bar and type time tracking. That narrows the results to templates focused on tracking hours, logging work, and organizing entries in a way that's easy to read and report on. You should see a few time-related options appear. We're going to pick one that works well for client services and anyone who needs to distinguish between billable and non-billable hours. From the search results, click on Consultant Time Tracking. This template is tailored for logging billable hours, capturing activity details, and organizing entries in a way that makes sense for invoices and internal reporting. Even if you're not a consultant, it's a strong starting point for any kind of time tracking because it comes with the right fields and views to help you classify your work without overcomplicating the setup. Next, click on Use Template. You'll typically see a preview along with a button to proceed. When you choose to use the template, ClickUp will ask where to apply it. Confirm that you're applying it to the list you opened earlier. If you're prompted to name anything that comes in with the template, use clear and descriptive naming. Pick something that reflects the purpose of the setup, so anyone who joins your workspace knows exactly what it's for without having to dig. You may see a second confirmation to use the template. Go ahead and click. Use template again to finalize. This is normal. The first click usually opens the preview or the application options, and the second confirms the import. After a moment, ClickUp will add the structure to your list. You'll see new items, views, or sections appear, depending on how the template is designed. Now that the template is applied, you'll begin to see items associated with tracking time. Click on a section labeled Payables. Here, you might find tasks or views related to expenses, vendor payments, or billable items you need to reconcile against time entries. You don't have to change anything yet. Simply follow along and familiarize yourself with where things live. If your team handles client invoicing or matches logged hours to outgoing payments, this area becomes a useful checkpoint to cross-reference what's been billed or paid. Next, click on Accounts. This is often where client or account records sit so that time entries can be tied back to who the work is for. Having a clear link between accounts and the time you track ensures you'll be able to group your hours correctly later. If you manage internal departments instead of clients, think of this as the place where your time entries connect to internal cost centers or projects. Move on to Activities Board. This board-style view is helpful when you want to visualize active work and make sure that time logging happens against the right activities. If your tasks flow through stages, like to do, in progress, review, and done, this board lets you see progress and ensures that timer usage lines up with where the work actually sits in the life cycle. Again, you don't need to change anything right now. The goal is simply to recognize these areas so you know where to look when you're logging time or reviewing it later. Click on Payment Status. This view ties closely to billing and financial reconciliation. It lets you see which time-linked items are pending, invoiced, or paid, depending on how your team uses it.